It's the 5th of November and tonight is fireworks night. So in this film I'm going to show you how to take photos of fireworks. Now there's going to be a great display later on over at a nearby school, but for the time being we've just come into a neighbour's garden to show you some of the settings and talk about what we're going to do later on. Now I'm going to feel a little bit conspicuous, I think, if I go along to the firework display, what with the video camera and a video light and a tripod and so on. So I think it's best if we just take the photos from the garden later on. Now we should be seeing the fireworks go above those houses over there, so this shouldn't be too bad a vantage point. Okay, I admit it, I'm too tight to pay the £5 entrance fee. No, not really. Now in previous films I haven't used much in the way of equipment, but tonight we do need a couple of things in order to do the job. The first thing is a tripod. We're going to be using some long exposures and you're just not going to be able to hold the camera steady enough by hand. So we do need a good sturdy kind of tripod. The other thing is I'm going to be using a SLR camera. They are a lot more flexible and it's going to make life a lot easier for us. Another piece of equipment we're going to need is what's called a cable release. Now we don't want to be touching the camera to press the shutter or to release the shutter because that's going to shake the camera. These cable releases are really simple to use. You just plug one end into the camera and the other end has a button on it which I can use to release the shutter. Some cameras, especially compact cameras, can't take a cable release. If that's the case, just set the perhaps just set the self timer on, and that will allow you to take the photo without touching the camera. Another alternative is to use the long exposure setting on the camera and just maybe cover the lens with your hand or with a hat and then remove it just to take the photo. So that's another technique you could try, but by far the easiest thing to do is to use one of these cable releases. So let's now talk about the actual camera settings I'm going to need. First of all, I'm going to turn the flash off. That's really important. The flash only goes about 3 or 4 meters and then the light falls off. So there's absolutely no point in having the flash on at all. It's funny quite often to see flashes being popped at rock concerts and so on when people are about 200 meters away from the stage. It has absolutely no effect whatsoever. So now the exposure. I'm going to be using mainly manual settings on the camera. There's no point in using auto exposure because the metering system will be easily fooled by the firework, the black sky, the bright fireworks. So I'm going to be using a manual exposure setting. Now, as far as the aperture is concerned, I think we'll start off by using around f11, which is a small aperture. If I find that the photo's too bright, then I'll maybe change it to f22 or f16, f22. So we've got a bit of flexibility there. If the photo's a little bit too dark, I might open up the aperture to about f8. Alternatively, I can up the ISO. Now the shutter speed, because we want to be able to hold the shutter open for as long as our finger is on the shutter button or on the cable release, we need to use this setting called bulb. It's a special setting which means that the shutter will stay open for as long as the finger is on the shutter button. And I'm just going to demonstrate that now. And now the ISO setting. I'm going to be using the lowest ISO number. So on this camera it's 200. On your camera it may be 100 or 80, but using the lowest number will ensure we get the best possible quality. The other thing I need to think about is which lens to use. I'm going to take the easy way out and use one which has a wide focal range. So this one goes from 18 to 200. I'm guessing I'm going to need about 75 or 100 millimeters as my focal length, but obviously with this lens I'll be able to zoom in and out. Now also this lens is quite a slow one. You can see the aperture is only f3.5 to 6.3, but we'll be shooting at f11, so it doesn't matter. This is just really a cheap kit type lens. There's just no need for a fast lens to take pictures of fireworks. Now when I say fast lens, I mean a lens with an aperture of 2.8 or wider. Although they're lovely, those lenses, there's just no need for it to take when we're taking fireworks. And the final setting I need to think about is the focusing. Where exactly am I going to focus the camera? Well, this one's actually quite easy. We don't want to use the autofocus setting because as soon as I press a shutter button, the lens is going to hunt backwards and forwards trying to find the right place to focus on. So there's a couple of things I can do. I can put the camera straight away into manual and set the focusing distance to infinity. That's the one with a little kind of figure of 8 on it, and that can stay there the whole time, no need to change it. If you're quite close up actually to the fireworks, another thing you can do is to keep the lens in auto mode for the moment and then focus on something in the distance, half pressing the shutter, focus on it, and then once the lens has changed, then change the focusing mode to manual. And once it's set, that's it, it's set for the whole evening and you don't need to change it again. And finally, when exactly am I going to press a shutter? That's always a tricky one. There's a couple of things I can do. First of all, I can watch the little trails of light going up, knowing that they're going to expand into a nice bloom, and just at that point press a shutter release. Alternatively, I can just wait until the bloom starts and that instant press a shutter. But it's pretty much trial and error, and we'll see how we get on later on. So that's about it for now. We'll come back later on when the fireworks start and we'll see how we get on. I'm looking forward to it. It should be exciting. Bye for now. Okay, the fireworks have started. The problem is I don't have as good a vantage point as I expected, but we still should get some nice shots. Okay, the camera's in the manual mode. I've focused on infinity. I've got my little doodah here all ready to go. That's the shutter release. Before I said I was going to use a bulb setting, but I've changed my mind and I'm going to use a 7 or 8 second long exposure. So we're just waiting for some fireworks now. I've focused on infinity. There may be some trees obscuring the fireworks, but that's what we have to live with. So come on now, I'm ready. Here we go. Okay, well, we've just got the edges because I'd obviously pointed it in the wrong direction. So let's have another go. Like I said, there's a lot of trial and error here. The fireworks are going off a little bit higher than I expected. Okay, let's try that again. The exposures look about right actually, possibly on the light side. I think I may reduce the exposure time. Now I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to change the aperture to about f16. It's on f11 at the moment. I'm changing it to f16. It was looking a little bit bright. Okay. Come on. Bit too quick for me there, I didn't see them. Let's see if we got anything though. Yeah, there we go. Not bad. Ah, pretty good, pretty good. Got quite lucky there. The firework went off when I wasn't really expecting it. That looks about right. Maybe a tiny little bit bright, but we can always reduce that in post-processing. Well, I think that's it. Obviously the big finish wasn't quite as big as I thought it was going to be. I must have missed it, but I think I got some decent shots. The problem was that we didn't really have as good a vantage point as I expected, so I was only able to get the very large cascading fireworks, but I think by now you've got the general idea. Okay, that's all for now. Hope you enjoyed the film.